We have a lot of agadata, stories that we can derive a lot of life lessons, and we are page 38, top of the page. Nicanor na'asu nisim ledaltotav. It was a fellow by the name of Nicanor that miracle were performed to his door. So what happened to his doors? Tanu Rabbanan, man nisim na'asu ledaltotav. What miracle occurred to his doors? אמרו, כשהלך ניקנור להביא דלתות מאלכסנדריה של מצרים, when Nicanor went to bring copper doors for the eastern gate of Beit HaMikdash from Alexandria in Egypt, בחזירתו עמד עליו נחשול שבים לטבעו. When he returned, he was on a big boat, a storm arose from the sea, in the sea, and threatened to drown him. So it's appeared, the Rambam said, Miri, that Alexandria was a center for art, and therefore they needed from there. So they said, when he saw it, ועדיין נטלו הספנים אחת מהם ונטלו על הים. So the sailor took one of the doors and put it to the water. ועדיין לא נח הים מזעפו. But still the sea did not rest from its rage. So since the boat is still endangered, ביקשו להטיל את חברתה. So now, imagine, after the man purchased with a lot of money those beautiful doors, now one is gone. Now they want to do what? To take the other one and put the water. So now Nicanor stood up, Amadhu, Ukracha, and he hugged himself, he hugged the door with himself, and Amar lahem, Hatiluni ima, if you want to do it, so push me with the door to the water. So the Chida asked, a person not allowed to commit suicide. That's so he felt, he said that they're not going to do it. So he just want to demonstrate. But after he made that strong declaration, miyad nachaya mizapo. All of a sudden, when he finished saying it, the water comes down. Nothing happened. והיה מצטער על חברתה. So Nicanor felt sorry that he should make that declaration over the first door. In other words, he was sorry that he lost the first one. כיוון שהגיע לנמלה של עכו, when they reached the port city of Aachen, which is, north of Haifa, היה הייתה מבצבצת ויוצאה מבין דופני הספינה. All of a sudden, miracle happened, and he saw the second door. So Lev Eliyahu explains that it wasn't just a miracle. He says that the first door, he didn't dedicate himself to that, so he didn't sink in the water. But when it happens for the second one, he made a teshuvah for not being devoted for the first one. So that's the reason why you have a miracle. But anyway, ויש אומרים, בריאה שבים בלעתה, והקיאתה ליבשה, ועליה אמר שלמה, קורות בתינו ארזים, ראיתנו ברוטים. אל תקראי ברוטים, אלא בריאת ים. So Rashi said two explanations. And the simple way to say it was a creature. It's hard for us to understand, but it's like a creature that did it. Others say that it is it's like a covenant. Bria can be it's like the two doors make a covenant with each other. It's like magnet that they connected to each other. So it's like you see when you put a B, right, and you close over, you put a cup over a B, what's going to happen? other bees will come in and try to help, right? So it happens that the doors are connected to each other. So that's what he meant. לפיכך, כל השערים שהיו במקדש נשתנו להיות של זהב. So since they have these two doors of Nicanor in the eastern part of the temple made out of gold, so then all the gates of Beit HaMikdash made it gold. Right? חוץ משערי ניקנור, excluding the doors of Nicanor that wasn't in gold, right? We explained it was a copper. Why they did it? Because they want to emphasize מפני שנעשו בו ניסים. Because miracle happened, so they want for the future generation, Rabbi Yonatan said, to remember that. ויש אומרים, there are those who say, the reason they didn't switch those doors from copper to gold, מפני שנחושתן מוצהבת הייתה, that the copper looked like yellow, so therefore it appeared as a gold. רבי אליעזר בן יעקב אומר, נחושת קלוניתה הייתה, it was refined copper, והייתה מאירה כשל זהב, almost the same, that it was illuminated like a gold. So you see it in the book of Ezra, chapter 8, they said, וכלי נחושת מוצהב, טובה שניים חמודות כזהב. So it appear as gold now. So it's important. There's a famous Ritva. Ritva asked a question: why at the first place Nicanor live in Egypt? You may say that he traveled, but it's appear like the Rambam live in Egypt too. So the Torah said clearly that we shall not go to Egypt, not go back to Egypt. So he brought three explanations, the Ritva. Number one, he said, that's applied, the Torah prohibition against return to Egypt, applied to the ancient Egypt that already destroyed, and this is a different Egypt. Second explanation, he brings on behalf of the Rav of Minsk, he said the Torah meant by the same path that our ancestors walk out, which means Derech Yam Suf, but not in a different direction. The third one, he said, this prohibition apply only when the nation of Israel live in Eretz Israel, but when they are in Galut, when they are in exile, so it's no difference which location they are. There is a book written by Rav Mordechai Ezrachi, he's one of the prominent Rashi Yeshivot in Israel. So he said we derive from this story an important lesson, namely that the creation talk, like you see in Perek Shira, that the creation talk to us, we just need to open our ears and heart and listen. So Nicanor, in a way, was listening to the sound of the waves, the water. He understands that if you want to change the situation, you need to have Mesirut Nefesh, you need to have some type of extra devotion. He was listening to the water, he was listening to the creation, and in a way, in our language, they said to him that he needs to have some Mesirut Nefesh, some extraordinary devotion. We said in Tehillim, we said it in a Hallel, Hayam Ra'a Vayanos. It's like the creation talking to us and one. So in order to get this huge merits, you need to have Mesirut Nefesh. The Torah, for example, said about Rafidim, Rafu Yadehem, the hands, when the Amalek came, when they have their hands weak. So the same apply with the story of Yoshua. In a way, the creation talked to us. So Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman said, Beikvetad Imshicha, the time, like our times, close to the moment at the Mashiach times. So he said, in the Mishnah in Sotah, the end said, Pnei Ador ke Pnei HaKelev. the generation is like a dog. So there's a story about the Brisker Rav that when he was in old age, the grandchildren walked with him, and he sat on a bench. So he took advantage of that moment. So one of the grandchildren asked him, what does that mean when the Mishnah said the face of the generation is a face like a dog? So he said, look at the street, look at the people, and you see what the Mishnah meant. You don't need to go far. He said it in Yiddish. But a good example he used, he said, they look and they saw, there are some countries, they treat animals different than in America. But basically one of the things that you see, you see kids throwing a stone on a dog. So what happened? Sometimes the animal start beating the stone, and sometimes gets so much with that stone that the animal even injured themselves because they mad at the stone. And then when they think that they get rid of the stone, the kids throw them another one. So the key point, he explains that a person should focus not on the event itself, but the cause of the event, which is the cause of the causes. You have to ask who sent you that problem, where that problem came from. So that water gave a signal to Nicanor, and he was wise enough to get the message that they need to have extraordinary devotion in order for things to happen. Ve'elu legnai. So the previous Mishnah praised those people that improved the Beit HaMikdash, but this Mishnah revealed to us the names of two families that kept for themselves their special talents and did not want to share with others. Now, the Meiri explains that the best trait a person should behave is to teach other people. That's even a form of tzedakah, to teach other people something good, so it will help other people. So here the Mishnah wants to mention two families of Kohanim that kept certain secrets, certain talents for themselves. So 2 points. One, it was in Israel once a company that knew the secrets how to raise certain vegetables with a free of any small what is called tiny
insects.
Mm-hmm. So the rabbis ask that person who know the secret, who basically save people from huge expense because other company doesn't know it. Mm-hmm. So basically you need to take it and put it in the special vinegar or special materials and wait a little bit to make sure, otherwise it's a violation of Torah law. So the rabbis approached to that fellow and asked him to give the secret formula how he kept all these insects out. It was big to do over that, if they have the right to ask him to do it or not. Right? Second example, it's a story about the late Rav Eliashiv. It's a fellow in Yerushalayim that writes tefillin like no one else. He has the capability of writing it in the most unbelievable nice way, and he is exceptionally expensive. So they went to Rav Eliashiv and complained that he basically overcharged for tefillin. So Rav Eliashiv explained, and he said, look, they want him to share his secret and his talents, how he made it and how he made it so beautiful. So in that case, Rav Eliashiv said, you cannot do it, because you have the right to buy whatever you wish to, and he has the right to keep the secret for himself, right? But here the Mishnah said, "Shel Beit Garmo lo ratzu lelamed al maaseh lechem hapanim." Was a family by the name of Beit Garmo, and they did not want to teach the secret of preparation of the shewbread, and sought to keep the secret within their family. Right? You see it a lot in business world, right?
Yeah.
של בית אבטינס, is another family by the name of בית אבטינס, לא רצו ללמד על מעשה הקטורת. They did not want to teach others how they made the incense. Right? So later the Gemara explained what exactly the secret formula they have. Hugras ben Levi. Now it's not speaking about they speak about other items. So this fellow Hugras was a descendants of the tribe of Levi. היה יודע פרק בשיר ולא רצה ללמד. He knew a certain chapter of the chanting of the song, and he refused to teach. Next, Ben Kamtsar, the name of a person, לא רצה ללמד על מעשה הכתב, did not want to teach a special act of writing. He was expert all writing of all four letters, of a four letters name simultaneously, and he refused. על הראשונים נאמר זכר צדיק לברכה, ועל אלו נאמר ושם רשעים ירכב. For the first one, who is mentioned favorably, they use the word, the memory of the righteous shall be of blessing. That's from Proverbs chapter 10. And the last one, they said, the name of the wicked shall rot, on the Proverbs chapter 7. So you see here that the sages are very strong with them. So they said, Tanu Rabbanan. Now we go to details. בית גרמו היו בקיאים במעשה לחם הפנים. They are very familiar with the formula of the shewbread. ולא רצו ללמד. They didn't want to teach others. שלחו חכמים והביאו אומנים מאלכסנדריה של מצרים. You know what happened? You have another contractor, you bring from Egypt, and they are experts in baking, and they basically remove the family of Garmo from their place. היו יודעים לאפות. They knew these people are very expert כמותם, ולא היו יודעים לרדות כמותן. So they have specialty, they are good, but they knew how to bake, but did not know how to remove the bread from the oven like they did. Right? Lechem, the shoe bread was 12 breads that they all made in a special way. If you see now, what is called that company? Rosencraft?
Rosendorf. Yeah.
Rosendorf. They make now 12 together for Shabbos, right? So basically, there is a disputation among the Amoraim in Menachot 94 how exactly they did it, but the key is that it need a specialty for that. So they are good in part, those new contractors, but they didn't know the whole process. שהללו מסיקים מבחוץ ואופים מבחוץ, והללו מסיקים מבפנים ואופנים מבפנים. So the people in Alexandria light the fire outside the oven and bake it outside of the oven. And the member of the house of Garmo light the fire inside the oven and bake it inside. So it's a specialty. The Meiri said that they didn't be able to glue it. It's all kind of version, or to keep it in a certain way. Anyway, they don't have that specialty. הללו פיתן מתאפשת, והללו אין פיתן מתאפשת. Remember we said that one of the miracles was the shewbread remained fresh. The others, boom, became moldy over the course of a week. כששמעו חכמים בדבר, so when the sages heard the matter, that the bread of the imported craftsman was of flour quality before, אמרו כל מה שברא הקדוש ברוך הוא לכבודו בראו. Whatever Hashem created, so they said, whatever the Holy One, blessed be He, created, He created in His honor. As it stated in Yeshayahu, כל הנקרא בשמי ולכבודי בראתי ויצרתי ופסיתי. Everyone that is called my name, I have created for my glory. So, in deference to God, the sages should diminish their honor for the greater glory of God. So, what they do, וחזרו בדגר למקומן. They put them back to their old job. שלחו חכמים ולא באו. So the sages sent people to call them, and guess what? They felt insulted and they didn't come back. כפלו להם שכרם. They offer them double amount, right? It happens with contractor, right? ובאו. So now they get double, so they come back. Now, בכל יום היו נוטלים 12 מנה, והיום נטלו 24. Every day they take 12, and today, that day, they took double. רבי יהודה אומר בכל יום 24 והם 48. So Rabbi Yehuda said it was 48, not 24. So in other words, 24 every day, that day double. אמרו להם חכמים, so the sages said to them, מה ראיתם שלא ללמד? Tell us the truth. Why you didn't want, don't you worry, Iyun Yaakov said that the secret after you pass will be gone? How? אמרו להם, יודעים היו של בית אבא, שבית זה עתיד להיחרב. We have a tradition from our ancestors that this Beit HaMikdash is going to be destroyed. And therefore, שמא ילמוד אדם שאינו מאורגן. Maybe someone who's not befitting, does not have the spiritual capabilities, not the knowledge to do it, וילך ויעבוד עבודת כוכבים בכך. And he's going to worship idols in using the incense. If you go now to the east, you see all those religions that using incense, right? Mm-hmm. With the smell and everything. So they are concerned, this incense made for the Beit HaMikdash, no one who's not totally attached, delved with Hashem, should be familiar with the formula. So they have a serious reason.
Is this formula
so far, yes. when the Mashiach come, we'll know. ועל דבר הזה מזכירין אותם לשבח. So therefore, at that point, they praise them. מעולם לא נמצאת פת נקייה ביד בניהם. So they said, one of the things that they praised them, so never was refined bread or fine flour found in the hands of their descendants. So the people not say that they are sustained from the technique of preparing the shewbread. שלא יאמרו במעשה לחמפנים זה ניזונים לקיים מה שנאמר והייתם נקיים מהשם ומישראל. The Torah tells us that's so important in the book of Bamidbar, chapter 32, that the person should always be, and you should be clear before the Lord and before the Israel. So the idea is that not only one must behavior beyond approach, he should also make certain to be beyond suspicion. So in other words, you may know that you are totally right and you didn't do any wrong, but the Mishnah in Shkalim chapter 3 said that sometimes you need to go extra mile. So people will not suspect you. Even you know that you are 100% fine. So all discussions. You see a rabbi, you walk out of McDonald's, and you figure out, you know, he may need to use the bathroom. Right?
Or it could be a kosher McDonald's.
McDavid in Jerusalem. Right. But the key is, v'yitim nekiim, you should be clean. So people will not suspect you for things, even you know that you are fine.
Right.
The second family we mentioned is של בית אבטינס, לא רצו ללמד על מעשה קטורת. It was a family house of Avtinas, did not want to teach about the secret of preparation of the incense. So the first one we talk about the shewbread. Now we talk about the incense, as I said, that the incense can use in the wrong way. שלחו חכמים והביאו אומנים מאלכסנדריה של מצרים. The same story, they brought expert from Alexandria, from Egypt. והיו יודעים לפתם ולא יודעים להעלות עשן כמותם. So they knew, those people from Alexandria, the craftsmen knew how to blend the spices like they did, but they did not know how to cause the smoke to rise like the house of Avdinas did. The smoke of the incense blend by how? So they said, של הלל הוא מתעמר ועולה כמקל, של הלל הוא מפציע לכאן ולכאן. So the member of the house of Avtinas, the calm rise like a stick, and the smoke of the incense blended by the people of the Alexandria branches out here and out there. It wasn't straight. So it is again expertise. כששמעו חכמים בדבר, when the sages realized that, so Rashi said here that they knew the special herb and they knew a special technique to do it. Rabbi Rosenblatt used to say, people before Hanukkah, so she used to tell them that to take the candles and put it in the freezer, you know, these thick Hanukkah candles, so they'll not, you know,
they last longer, yeah.
They last longer, right? So it is in everything you have technique. So here with the incense, there's a special technique with the herb to make it straight. So they knew it. So this, when the sages heard that, they said the same. Now they bring another source from Proverbs chapter 16. Kol po'al Hashem lema'anehu. God made everything for His sake. And therefore, יחזרו בית אבטינס למקומן. So they call them to return. The same story. שלחו להם חכמים ולא באו. עד שכפלו להם שכרם. They asked them to come, they refused. Until they gave them double. ובאו בכל יום הם נותנים 12 מנה והם נתנו 24. Same story. רבי יהודה אומר, בכל יום 24 והם נתנו 48. So in short, they get double than what they get earlier. אמרו להם חכמים, מה ראיתם שלא ללמד? So why you didn't teach? The same story. אמרו להם, יודעים עלינו בתבא שבית לזה לחרב, אמרו שם ללמוד אדם שאינו מוגן, ולך לעבוד עבודת כוכבים בכך. So the same way we said here in the incense, we said in the showbread, these two families knew that the formula and wants to make sure that only a righteous, capable people know the formula and not others, because others may use it for the wrong purposes. ועל דבר זה הם מזכירים אותם לשבח. So there are something that the sages praised them. For what? So they said, מעולם לא יצאת כלה מבוסמת מבתיהם. Since they knew the secret of the Ketoret, so they have the capability to make these perfumes. But they said that it never happened that their daughter came out with the Beit HaMikdash perfume. ושהיו נוסעים משם מקום אחר, when the married woman that's not from their family, מתנים ממה שלא תתבשם, they condition with the girl, let's say one of the sons marry someone, so they condition that girl that she should not wear or use any perfume. Why? שלא יאמרו מעשה הקטורת המתבשמים. That no one ever think that they use something that for the Beit HaMikdash for their personal needs. לכהן מה שנאמר, והייתם נקיים מהשם ישראל. The same story, that you should be clean, even you know that you are fine and you don't, but people should never think in that manner over you. Tanya, אמר רבי ישמעאל, now talk about those family. פעם אחת הייתי מהלך בדרך ומצאתי אחד מבני בניהם. One time I was traveling on the road and I found one of the descendants of those families. אמרתי לו, אבותיך ביקשו להרבות כבודן ורצו למעט כבוד המקום. Your ancestors want to increase their glory by keeping the secret for themselves and want to reduce the honor of Hashem. Why? Because they said, the Rif explains that they refused. When the sage said, okay, come back and do the job, what did they do? They said, no, we're not coming back until they gave them more money. עכשיו כבוד המקום במקומו ומיעט כבודם. Now after the Beit HaMikdash destroyed, the honor of Hashem remained in his place, because the honor of Hashem is not just in Beit HaMikdash. We said that the honor of Hashem, Isaiah said in chapter 6, Meloch chol haaretz kvodo, that Hashem honor is in every place. Umi'et kvodam, the Maharsha explained that your ancestors that depend their honor upon their job in Beit HaMikdash, Hashem reduced their honor by destroying the Beit HaMikdash. So why? Because now no one needs their secret formula. Amar Rabbi Akiva elaborated on that, and he said, Sachli Rabbi Ishmael ben Loga. I heard the following story. פעם אחת יצאתי אני ואחד מבני בניהם לסדר ללקט עשבים. One time I went with one of the descendants of Avtinas to collect herbs in a field. וראיתי שבכה ושחק, and I noticed that he cried and laughed. אמרתי לו, מפני מה בכית? I asked him, why are you crying? אמר לי, כבוד אבותיי נזכרתי. I remember the honor that my ancestors have, so I cried. ומפני מה שחקת? So why did you laugh? אמר לי, שעתיד הקדוש ברוך הוא להחזירה לנו. He says, because they said in the prophecy that Hashem is going to give back the Beit HaMikdash. ומפני מה נזכרת? Why you remind that at this point? אמר לי, he answered, and he said, מעלה עשן כנגדי. Because I saw this special herb that come out straight smoke at the front of me. So I said to him, הראהו לי, I said, show me. אמר לי, שבועי בידינו שמרים אותו לכל אדם. So he said to me, we are bound by oath not to show it to any person other than the members of our family. Another story. אומר רבי יוחנן בן נורי, פעם אחת מצאתי זקן אחד ומגילת סממנים בידו. One time I found an old man that they had a scroll with the location and formula for blending the spices for Beit HaMikdash. So that scroll was the names of all and the skits, like a very clear description what and how. So that's what Rashash said. אמרתי לו, מאין אתה? So I said, from where you are? אמר לי, מבית אבטינס אני. I am descendants of אבטינס family. ומה בידיך? What do you hold? אמר לי, מגילת סממנים. I have the secret formula of the incense. הראהו לי. I asked him, please show me. אמר לי, כל זמן שבית אבא קיימים לו, מוסרים אותו לכל אדם. When my ancestors were alive, they didn't share it with anyone. ועכשיו, הראהו לך. Now they are no longer here. You can have it. והיזהר בה. But I ask you to be extremely careful with that. Because that's a secret formula of the family. With the condition that it should not be shared with people outside of the family, outside, in other words, of a realm of righteousness. כשבאתי וסחתי דבריי לפני רבי עקיבא, so when I shared that in front of רבי עקיבא, אמר לי, מעתה אסור לספר בגנותן של אלו. So Rabbi Akiva said it is prohibited to mention them unfavorably, as even the earlier people, because it was apparently they did it for the glory of God. So because if they want their own honor, that old person will not share it with Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Mikan amar ben Azai. So by the fact that they could not remove totally the people of Garmo and the people of Avtinas permanently from their job, that's the way the Meiri understand. Amar ben Azai derived from that, Beshimcha yikra'ucha uvimkomcha yoshivucha. So Rashi here said, Beshimcha yikra'ucha. So he explains, בשמך יקראוך, כלומר לא ידאג אדם, לומר פלוני יקפח פרנסתי, כי על כורחם בשמך יקראוך לבוא ולשב במקומך. So I explain in my book on Rashi that Ben Azai point is not clear. What he meant to say when he used the word, by your name they call you, and in your place they shall sit you. So he explained that sometimes people worry that someone takes something from them. So he said that it's set up in heaven, what you're going to have. So in that sense, he told him, look at the families of Garmo and look at the family of Avtinas. Doesn't matter what, if from heaven they decided they should do a certain job, no matter what, they will stay there. So here, by your name, they should call you to return to a previous position, and your place, they should sit you. So it cannot be anybody else but only you. המדחת עמוד ב' 38b ומשלך ייתנו לך ומשלך ייתנו לך. So again, Rashi explained, כלומר לא משלהם ייתנו לך מתנה למזונות קשורים לך משניים. I explained it in my book that a person should have such a high level of faith that nothing will get to you that it's not belongs to you. If it's a kosher money, if it's something that you deserve, they said it in a way that no matter what, you get it. For example, if a guy, they have an auction, and the guy thinks my chances, etc. But they hear the point is, אין אדם נוגע במוכן לחברו, ואין מלכות נוגעת בחברתה אפילו כלא מנימה. That's so important. He said that no person may touch which is prepared for another by God. Everyone receive what is designated for him, and one reign that not overlap the other and deduce from the time allotted it even a half breath, which means when the time comes for the kingdom to fall, the successor take over immediately, and no king rules during the time designated for another. So it means everything, even the smaller things, and for sure Rashi said livelihood, etc. If you have a competition or you feel that someone takes something for you, do not worry. What you deserve, Hashem is in charge, and whatever you deserve, you get in full and proper.
Wow.
Hugras ben Levi. So we learn in the Mishnah about a fellow that knows all this secret of melody. Soon you see what does that mean with melody. Tanya, כשהוא נותן קולו בנעימה, היה מכניס גודלו לפיו, ומניח אצבעו בין הנימים, עד שהיו אחיו הכהנים נזכרים בבת ראש לאחוריהם. So when he projects his voice as a very beautiful melody, he places his thumb into his mouth and places his finger between the string of the inside the layer and sing. So it brings such a sound that everyone move backward, like very impressed for his ability. תנו רבנן, בן קמצר לא רצה ללמד לאחרים על מעשה הכתב. There was a fellow Ben Kamtsar that he refused to teach others how he wrote the very special way the name of Hashem. What's the issue with that? So the Meforshim said, writing the name of Hashem, if you're writing it, it has to be in full intent, without stop. In other words, when you write Sefer Torah, you stop from time to time. But you're not allowed to do that when you write the name of Hashem. So, אמרו עליו שהנותן 4 קומוסים בין אצבעותיו. He has a special ability that he take 4 quills between his fingers. ואם הייתה תיבה של 4 אותיות, היה כותבה בבת אחת. If it was some type of chart of 4 letters, he can write it in one time. So Rashi said to make it short, and he said also that the other Meforshim said that in order to avoid stopping in between. But the other rabbi said it was like which we call today concealing, like a sign that you have a stamp to do it quickly in one time. So in other words, he has a special way to make it not only beautiful but quick. So it may be, some say that it's like you have a stamp that contains several letters and you push the stamp, boom, it's all together. אמרו לו, מה ראית שלא ללמד? How come you don't teach others? כולן מצאו תשובה לדרם, בן קמצר לא מצא תשובה לדרם. All the others obviously have some answers. As we said, Ben Avtinas, etc. They afraid that people who are not really trustworthy will learn that, etc. Idol worshippers. But he, with no explanations. So they said, the people or basically lost something. So the Meforshim said, Maratz Chayus said, and others, that there are two things that are involved here. Number one, he did not, everyone is obligated to honor the name of Hashem and to have, doing it in the very best. By avoiding that, he avoiding goodness from people, point one. Point two, much worse, is they said, basically, as we all know, the beginning of printing press was 1484. Up to that time, we just copy. So imagine, here we're talking about Talmudic time, 1000 years ago. There it is, 1600 years ago. So many thousands, or who knows more, of copies can distribute and print, in a way, printing press. And the children, especially the young children, can learn, and that's avoiding people from goodness, from learning Torah. So as a result, he did not respond. ראשונים נאמר זכר צדיק לברכה. ועל קמצר בן קמצר וחבריו נאמר שם רשעים מרכב. The first one they said that they explain it. Let's face it, Bet Garmo, Bet Avtinas, afraid that people who are idolater learn it and use it inappropriately. So we said for blessings, they have explanations. But him, what type of explanation you have? Those people who are idol worshipping the Meiri said, they're not going to have a use for that. Why is that? Because for them it makes no difference if they write quickly or not quickly the name of their false god. So it makes no difference for him to hide it from them. So they used his name in a very negative term. The name of the wicked should be Yirkav, should be smell rat. Mai v'shem Hashem Yirkav. What does that mean exactly? So they said, how does a name rat? אמר רבי אלעזר רק ביבו תעלה בשמותם דלא מסכימן בשמותיו. So you know that we name the name, the older Meforshim said that the names carry a special meaning and the name carry a destiny of a person, etc. This carry a very important meaning of the name. The Noam Elimelech said in the explanation, in one of the commentary in the Torah, that the names is also some sign of prophecy that the parents have. So in other words, it carry a very special sanctity and meaning with the name. So they said when they have wicked people, we don't name after them because it's basically show deterioration. So, and they're giving here an example, which is a very frightening example. Mativ Ravina Maseh Doeg ben Yosef Shinicho ben Katan Leimo. So it was a fellow whose name is Doeg, which is not a good name. Every day he grew up, so his mother's checking. She gave donation, and each day he grew up, she gave a gold piece to Beit HaMikdash. When the Nebuchadnezzar, the evil Babylonian king, came and surrounded the Beit HaMikdash, was such a famine in a city, like the curses in a series of admonition in Torah. She slaughtered him and ate his which is unbelievable. That's what the book of Lamentation, Jeremiah said in chapter 2. So it's frightening to think. So the divine providence respond, and it said, so it means that the name Doeg, it's a name that was carrying a curse, and Chazi Maisalik Bey. Look what happened at the end. You see what befell him. Clearly, his name was a bad omen. So again, we go by the pshat, by the simple way. But there are some Meforshim said that in the Zohar and the commentary of the Zohar, they said that it's just a matter of understanding the deep meaning of the name. So people should be very careful with that. So here was an example. Omar Rabbi Elazar, because he's by himself or his mother carry a lot of merits, but because of the name. Anyway, Omar Rabbi Elazar, Tzadik me'atzmo v'rasha mechavero. Tzadik, righteous person, was remembered by himself because of his good deed. Wicked is remembered by his fellow, which means by meaning not just himself but other fellows. צדיק מעצמו דכתיב זכר צדיק לברכה. This mentioned tzaddik as a righteous is individual. רשע מחברו דכתיב ושם רשעים ירקב. So the mention for a curse is the name of the wicked. אומר לרבינה לאו מרבונון. Ravina said to the sages, מסדר הגלתה that he used to bring the word of Agadata before him. Menana milta damu rabbonon zecher tzadik livracha. Where is the source for that? Righteous people should remember for good. Omar leida aktiv zecher tzadik livracha. It's a pasuk. So clear. So they say mendoraita menale. Prove that it's because we said that everything that the Nevi'im said have some remez, have some implications in the Torah. So Tosfot Shanim said that based on the Gemarrah and Ta'anit, page 9, that it's indirectly. So the Gemarrah calls Shlomo HaMelech as the sages, and you see there that in the page here on the page 69 that they use the same for Jeremiah and Daniel. They use them Rabbanon. The same Nimukei Agriv said that it's the same. They use them. It's Rabbanon, it's a teacher. Dechtiv, because the Torah said in Bereshit, page chapter 18, והשם אמר עמך עשה אני מאברהם אשר אני עושה. God said, I'm not hiding. When he's about to destroy the bad cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, so said, I'm not hiding, I'm not concealing from Abraham what I'm about to do. And then, right after mentioning his name, כתיב אברהם להיו יגל גדול ועצום. So meaning that Hashem, כביכול himself, bless Avraham Avinu right after mentioning his name. So, Menana Milta Damur Abanam Shem Rushaim Yirkav. How do you know the other way around? That the name of the wicked should be Rad. Omar Leida Aktiv Shem Rushaim Yirkav. It's written clearly that the name of the wicked should be Rad. So they said, Mindoraita Menali. How do you know a source from the Torah? So they said, because it's written, Dichtiv Vayehal Ad Sdom, the Lot went up to the city of Sdom. Ktivan Sdom Ra'im V'Chateim L'Hashem Moed, which means right away the mention, it's not just that Lot moved to Sdom, it's also mentioned in attachment to that people there are not good. So just as a side note, it's important to know that when we mention the name of righteous people, we always said Shlita, meaning that he sheyichye leorech yamim tovim amen arukim. So it's in attachment to the name we praised him. If he's no longer among the living, we said Zatzal zecher tzadik livracha. The name of the righteous person should be for good. And also when you mention name of somebody the other way around, so either you said Imach Shemo vezichro, which means his name be erased, or Shem Reshaim Yirkav Shari, that the name of the wicked should be Rad. So you see here, the Gemarrah doesn't intend to teach us only short blessing or curses only, but they want to teach us that we should praise the righteous people as long as we mention the name in order for people to learn from the way and follow them. The same applied, the Meiri said, when you mention the wicked people, that we have to express certain things not as Lashon Hara, but in order to avoid people from the bad deeds. The Rambam explained in his interpretation for Pirkei Avot, in the first chapter of Pirkei Avot, Mishnah 16. So the Rambam said that there are 5 types of language of speaking. Number 1 is he called Dibur Shel Mitzvah. If you speak and you talk, it's involved with mitzvah, such as reading the Torah, study the Torah. That's one category of speaking. And then he said the other is Dibur Asur, the prohibition of talking, such as gossiping, talebearers, slandering, etc. So that's or false witnesses. That's the second category. The third one is Harchakami Dibur. So this is certain talk that it's we should distance away. For example, a talk of vanity. We talk about things that doesn't make any difference. We talk about games, or you talk of politics, or you talk things that is no any good for anyone, then it's called dibur reshut, which means that you talk about livelihood, you talk about need of a person, and then you talk 5 dibur atzui, that somebody who speaks, and it's a need for him to speak. It's important. So he said that the last one, when we talk about dibur atzui, there's something that it's important to say. It's considering in a good midot, in a good trait, and the other way is also when it speaks about the bad trait. So he said it's regardless if you said it as you mention a story or you reading like a poetry or poems. And the same go both ways. If you talk about righteous people, you have to say it in such a way that the listeners will understand the importance and they want to imitate the way of a righteous people. And the same apply when you mention stories about people who are bad and wicked, in order to avoid people from following their bad way. Omar Rabbi Lazar, צדיק דר בין שני רשעים ולא למד מעשיהם. Rabbi Lazar said there was a righteous person who lived between 2 wicked people and did not learn from their actions, and the other way, Rasha דר בין שני צדיקים ולא למד מעשיהם, is a wicked person that lived among the 2 righteous people and did not learn from them. Example, צדיק דר בין שני רשעים ולא למד מעשיהם, עובדיה. The prophet Obadiah, he lived with the wicked Achav, the wicked king, and his wife, horrible, his wife Isabel, and even they are horrible, he did not learn from the bad deed. Rasha ben shnei tzadikim v'lo man masem ze Esav. You see Esau, that he lived with the righteous people, which was Yitzchak and Rivka, Isaac and Rebekah, yet he remained with wickedness. So that's what they meant, Zecher Tzadik Livracha versus Shem Rasha'im Yirkav. ואומר רבי אלעזר, מברכתן של צדיקים אתה למד כלל הרשעים. So you can learn from a blessing and giving to the righteous, also curses among the wicked. ומקללתם של רשעים אתה למד ברכה לצדיקים. And also the other way around. Whenever Hashem curses the wicked, you learn a blessing for the righteous. So in other words, it's like, if you remember, we discussed the Parshat Beshalach, when Moshe Rabbeinu, his hands was lifted either way. So it's basically said that it's always a spiritual war between the righteous and the wicked. And when one side is strong, the other side is weak, and vice versa. So in other words, the Tivot Olam said, when the wicked are curses, the blessing are upon the righteous, and vice versa. Because the Torah said about Abraham, Hashem said in Bereshit 18, that I knew that he going to teach his future generation to follow the way of Hashem. Tzedakah, or Mishpat, etc. And then it's written after that, and then they said about the horrible behavior of the city of Sodom and city of Gemarrah. So they said in the curses of the wicked, you learn from that story of Sodom and Gomorrah. So then right away Hashem said to give a blessing to the righteous Abraham when he departed from Lot. So you see here Rabbi Yochanan said that's a blessing upon the righteous. That's frightening and encouraging. He said that the whole world created for one righteous person. They said at the beginning of Bereshit that Hashem saw the light that it's good. The righteous applied, the good applied to the righteous. They said in Isaiah chapter 3, Imrut tzadik ki tovu. You should say the righteous that is good. אמר רבי אלעזר, כל המשכח דבר מתלמודו, גורם גלות לבניו. Since we mentioned Agadic text from Rabbi Elazar, so we mentioned another Agadic text. He said if someone forgets something intentionally from his learning, that's what the Ritva said, or the Meiri said because he was lazy, So he calls exile to his sons. We need to understand what it means. But in general, they said, שנאמר, ותשכח תורת אלוקיך, ישכח בניך גם אני. They said that in Hosea chapter 4, you forget the living Torah, so in a way, כביכול, Hashem forget you too. So Rabbi Abahu אמר, מורידים אותו מגדולתו. Abahu said that they take him down from his highest, שנאמר, כי אתה הדעת מאסת ומסעך מכהן לי. So the greatness always come from the Torah. Because they said in numerous places that the real honor is only from the Torah. All the other honor, it's fake and it's temporary. So when a person distances himself from the Torah, the greatness distances itself from him. That's Iyun Yaakov said. So now the Gemara bring a list of statement from Rabbi Chia bar Rabba in the name of Rabbi Yochanan in regards to the righteous. Omar Rabbi Chia bar Rabba, Omar Rabbi Yochanan, אין צדיק נפטר מעולם עד שנברא צדיק כמותו. שנאמר וזרח השמש ובא השמש. They said in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 1, the sun rise, the sun set. So it means that the world cannot survive without righteous people. So when there's one righteous man is no longer among the living, in heaven they make sure that there is another righteous man who's born. An example they use here, עד שלא כבתה שמשו של עלי. So here they use example as a sunrise, sunset. So until the sunset of Eli, the priest, the זכה שמשו של שמואל הרמתי. So the rays, the Samuel the prophet, which means the second righteous, I don't know if it's a right word to say, but it's like the replacement, or the new righteous that come in a way actually born before the first one is no longer among the living. So in other words, Hashem in His kindness and goodness makes sure that the world survive, the light of the world survive. So He bring to the world the new righteous who automatically replace and have the replacement ready for the one who is about to take back to Hashem, in order to make sure that that righteous person that Yosef said protected the world, protected the generation, the world. So they said another statement, Omar Rabbi Chia bar Rabba, Omar Rabbi Yochanan, רואה הקדוש ברוך הוא שצדיקים מועטים עמד ושתלן בכל דור ודור שנאמר כי להשם מצוקי הארץ וישת עליהם תבל. So they said that כביכול, again we talking in a euphemism, in a language that we understand, that כביכול Hashem saw that there are few righteous people in this world, so He planted them in every generation. Is a famous Hasidic teaching that is like 36 hidden righteous people around the world, that because of them the world survive. So basically the idea is because there are few, so Hashem planted them in a different time, a different generation. So they said in a pasuk in the book of Samuel chapter 2, כי להשם מצוקי ארץ וישת עליהם תיבה. There is a Gemarrah in Kiddush in 72 that brings a list of examples that when Rabbi Akiva was killed, Rabbi was born. When the Rabbi passed away, Rav Yehuda was born. When Rav Yehuda was born, passed, the Rava was born. When the Rava was passed, the Rav Ashi was born, etc. So you see here that it's always the influence of one righteous follow the other righteous, and they don't leave the world without the foundation. It's like the pillar of the world, the righteousness. And Kiviyachol Hashem knows who are the real righteous people, and therefore, because there are few, Hashem planted them and scattered them among the generation in order to make a foundation for the whole world. It's not always, some Rabbanim said, that the people which we think that they are righteous, they're not always the real one that Hashem chosen. So basically those real righteous people that in the eye of Hashem is the real righteous, He spread them because they are few, among each generation in order for the world to survive. Next, Rabbi Yochanan, אפילו בשביל צדיק אחד עולם מתקיים. That's again frightening statement. They said that even there are many sinners, but is a one righteous person, the whole world survives. שנאמר וצדיק יסוד עולם. They said in the Mishnah, in Proverbs, chapter 10, that the foundation, the basic, the instrumental part of the whole world is the righteous man. So in that sense, the whole world survived because of him. The Noam Elimelech said in the beginning of Parshat Shmot, now it's the week Parsha. So he explained that again, it's a matter of spiritual understanding, spiritual world, that the world survives many times because of just one righteous person, the power of one man, that the whole world survived because of him. So for sure we need to understand what does that mean, world, in that sense. But in a simple way, the secret of survival is because of the few. Rabbi Chia didei amar me'acha. Rabbi Chia said that we derive from that. He said in the book of Samuel, chapter 2, Raglei chasidav yishmor, that kivyachol, the world carries a lot of wickedness, that the world survived because of again, is a language of euphemism, the legs of his pious people. So they said, chasidav tuva mashma, since they use chasidav, is not chasid, is not one person. It's plural, so it's more than one. Omar Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak chasidoktiv. It's written chet samech dal yud dalet vav. So without the second yud. So again, we derive the same thing, that the whole world survives. So the Maharal, in a book Netivot Olam, explains that the righteous person is the foundation of the whole world. And because he followed the way of God, the righteous way, without moving right to left, he just straightforward in the way of Hashem. So he turned the whole scale of the whole world for good. The other way around, when you have a wicked person, he turned the whole world the bad side, and therefore the whole world changed in different directions. So that's the idea of foundation. He said further, that's a little deep, he said when you mention his name, it's also turned the scale for a different direction. Anyway, אומר רבי חייא בר אבא אמר רבי יוחנן, כיוון שיצאו רוב שנותיו של אדם ולא חטא, שוב אינו חוטא, שנאמר רגלי חסידיו ישמור. So they said, if a person passed the most of his years of life and he was not involved with sin, in heaven they promise him that he will not sin. He said that that's the meaning of the legs of his pious Hashem Almighty protected. In other words, the Tosfot Yeshanim said that he has an extra help from heaven. Tosfot Arosha, that the safeguarding. The Rabbi Shila Amrei, in the Beit HaMidrash of Rabbi Shila, they said, כיוון שבא לידו דבר עבירה פעם ראשונה ושנייה ואינו חוטא, שוב אינו חוטא, שנאמר רגלי חסידיו ישמור. So in that sense, the word raglei doesn't mean legs, it means some type of manner of behavior. Since a person have several opportunities, one after the others, to fail the trap of sin, and he didn't do it several times, once, second, etc., then he will not reach. In other words, you have Yetzirah once, you have Yetzirah twice, etc. But if he didn't do it and he survived several times, he will not anymore fall that trap, because they said Raglei Chasidav. Raglei, in that sense, it means chances. And like they said about Bilam when he hits the donkey, Ki hitani rezer shalosh regalim. They use the word regel in that sense. In other words, if a person behave in a pious way twice, Raglei, so Hashem will save him, the Maharsha said, from the future attack from the Yetzer Hara. Omar Reish Lakish. my dichtiv, what does that mean when they said in the book of Mishlei, chapter 3, they said, Im lalitzimu yalitz, v'na'anavim, they said, Im lalitzimu yalitz, v'la'anavim iten chen. What does that mean of that pasuk? So they said, הבא לטמא פותחים לו, הבא לטהר מסייעין אותו. So Rashi said, פותחים לו פתח הטומאה להיכנס בה, כלומר מספיקים בידו ואין מונעים אותו מן השמיים. So Rashi here used the word כלומר, so I explain in my book, ביאורי כלומר ברש"י על הש"ס, I explains what I think humbly that what Rashi meant. He have an issue over the word petach. What does that mean, petach? What is the entrance? So he said if someone wanted to go the way of impurity, tum'ah, so they said, potchim lo. What does that mean, potchim lo? In heaven they help him to go to that direction of impurity. So Rashi said, klomar maspikim biyado, which means they do not put a stumbling block on his way to do that. If you want to do good, so it may happen, all of a sudden you have something come up from the other side and try to stumble you. Mm-hmm. But when it's come to the other way, so they don't disturb him. They allow him, you choose that way, they leave him alone. They don't avoid him from heaven from doing that. That's what he means. So they said, הבא לטמא פותחים לו. הבא לטהר, if someone wants to involve with Torah and good deeds, mitzvot, so they help him. So, in other words, you see it in life. You see many times that when you want to do something that it's not right, all of a sudden it's easy. When you want to do something that is total mitzvah, and the purest you want to do it, sometimes the hardest it's upon you. It's always something there disturbing. A friend of mine told me he, Baruch Hashem, married 7 of his children. So we used to study together in Baltimore. So he told me each and every time when he was about to marry his child, there's something there. At the time, the highest moments, this is the issue of honoring or issue of something happened there. It's like the Yetzer Hara, there's something coming out at the most highest moment that you want to do a mitzvah. So versus when someone wants to go the other way around, they let him do it. Tana Dever Rabbi Ishmael. We learn also in the school of Rabbi Ishmael. Mashal Adam שהיה מוכר נפט ואפרסמון. Neft is like the naphtha, something that they've crude. There is not a good smell. This Rashi in Shabbat 24 said that it's carry a bad odor. Ve'afarsemon, and balsams, which the fragrance is pleasant. So he's selling this both. 39. Baal imdod neft. One of the buyers is about to purchase the naphtha to carry a bad odor. Omer lo imdod ata la'atzmecha. The seller said, go and measure for yourself. He doesn't want to carry this bad odor. Baal imkod imdod afarsemon. The person wants to purchase something that carry balsams, a good smell. Omer lo ho hamten li ad shemdod imcha k'nei shbasem ani v'ata. So wait for me. We measure together. So he carried a good odor for both of us. Now the Gemara speaks about the consequences of sin. Frightening. They said, Tana Dever Rabbi Ishmael, Aveira metamtemet libo shel Adam. They said that the sin is metamtem, is like close the heart of the person who commits it, which means close him to receive. The Barbanel explained it in the Torah when he speak about the prohibition of eating creeping animals. So it's in the book of Leviticus chapter 11, the Torah have a list. And the Torah said, שנאמר, ואל לא תטמאו בהם ונטמאתם בם. You should not contaminate yourself, should be impure. So he said, אל תקרי ונטמאתם אלא וניטמתם. So it means, Barbanel explains, that something happened in the heart of a person. when he eats these creeping animals, in a way, in our modern days it's easy to understand, but it's became part of his body, part of himself, and in that sense it's cover his heart, his clear thinking, with something else. It's like he used the taf with tet, ונתמתם, that it's like he called מטמטם את הלב, that it's make him like part of that he is like one of those creeping animals. So it's not, what he tried to say, it's not matter of physical only, that health, etc., but it's a matter of spiritual, that something turned in your soul, that it's already have layers of something that it's make you hard thinking, not clear, not the right purple way. Tanu Rabbanan, al velo titam'u ba'em v'nitmetem bam. You should not contaminate yourself, impurify yourself with them, so you should not be thereby impurified. So why is that? Why is the repetition twice? Adam מטמא עצמו מעט, מטמאים אותו הרבה. מלמטה מטמאים אותו מלמעלה, בעולם הזה מטמאים אותו לעולם הבא. The moment that the person impurified, they make him more. If he does here, they do it there double. So in other words, that it's Maharsha explained that these are three consequences going from bad to worse, etc. for every time go in the other way around. Tanu Rabbanan, they said in the Vayikra chapter 11, V'yitkadishtem, V'yitem Kedoshim, sanctify yourself and you should be sanctified. Adam mekadesh atzmo me'at. If a person sanctified himself a bit, mekadshim oto arbe. So the Nashamayim from heaven, they help him to go higher in Kedusha, in the Madrega of Kedusha. Milamala mekadshim oto milamata. So they said that if a person sanctifies himself below, they sanctify him from above. So it's like the Ritva said, like the holy entities above, they sanctify him in a way that's help. Ba'olam hazeh mekadshim oto l'olam haba. If a person sanctify himself in below, which is in this world, it goes steps. So in other words, if a person control himself, behave in a manner that's proper, go the highway, be compassionate to others, judge people favorably, talking positively about people, try to give a people benefit of doubt, express kindness to others. So in other words, when he reach the proper behavior and trait in life, he can expect a special help from heaven to go up high in the ladder of sanctity. Hadran alach amar alahem hamemuneh. So we learn about Nicanor. This is a Rambam in Sefer Avodah Hilchot Beit HaBchira, chapter 5. All the Beit HaMikdash gates were 10 cubits wide and 20 cubits high. All the doors were gold plates except the eastern gate, which was copper plated with high quality copper resembling gold. It's called the upper gate, or the gate of Nicanor. And the Ritva, as we mentioned, he asked a question, how come Nicanor was in Egypt? It's prohibition against being in Egypt, etc. And he gave three explanations. He said, number one is the prohibition against going back of Egypt applied to ancient Egypt that already destroyed. So it's not applied to the new one. Also, he said that the name of Rav of Minsk, that the prohibition is toward the path of Yam Suf, which it's not applied here. Nicanor went by the water. And also he said that that's applied only when the nation is in the exile. So it's no difference when in exile between Egypt and other countries. In exile, it's an exile. But deeper than that, we mentioned the great Rav Mordechai Ezrahi, one of the Rosh Yeshivas in Israel. He wrote in one of his books that it's like the whole creation talking. We just need to open our ears and heart to hear the sound. Nicanor has the capability to hear the water talking to him, in a sense that when he put the door, it was a big waves, to reach the zchut, the merit, to have the name, and to have the doors, and for the Beit HaMikdash, he needs to have a mesirut nefesh, he needs to have his extra devotion. And he was capable to hear that message and wrap himself with the door to show a tremendous devotion for that. And that's basically happened when we have in our lives, we have a lot of opportunity to hear. Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman said that at this time, Ikvet Adim Shicha, you see that it's a lot of sign, and we should pay attention. And we mentioned an example from the Brisker Rav. You see the dog, you see someone throw a stone on a dog, and the dog start fighting against the stone, instead of going to the source why things happen. So basically the story we learn from Nicanor is a tremendous devotion and always to go deeper. When you see an event that happened, especially sad event in a person's life, he or she should not focus on the event itself. They should go to the next level to meditate and understand that it's go in another level, which is knowing that is the cause of the causes, that why that happened, because that people are basically only shelichim, only emissary of something much higher. And if a person go deeper and examine, he may realize that is the cause of the causes of all of that event, and then hopefully by doing a self-search, we'll be able to treat the real cause of the causes, not just the symptom.